What is happening, everybody? So, a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get the car to the drag strip and get a little bit of data acquisition for you. So, here's basically how the night went. I was able to meet a couple of buddies down there. One of them is ZL_1 over at Instagram. Check out his page. He got a sweet ZL1 Camaro. It's a Gen 5. Love that car. I've seen the taillights of that a few times. Fast. And also Riley with RP Productions brought his 1LE down there. So we were able to just kind of hang out, goof off, have some fun with the cars. And I'll also post up a link to Riley's video of that night in the description so you can kind of catch up on some of the stuff we were up to. But basically it was just, you know, a night to just go out and have fun with the cars. And it's something that, you know, through all the data acquisition that I've been up to lately, you know, sometimes it just gets a little bit clinical. I mean, it's still fun, but, you know, I'm really focusing and trying to get a good launch, good ET out of the car and work on consistency. And that's easy to do with a drag radial. But this night, I was running on my stock all seasons. And running on the stock all seasons is a little tricky. And when the car was bone stock in about the same DA, which was 1,800 feet, the car ran fairly consistent mid-1260s at about 110-ish miles an hour. In other words, a little over 110. But that was stock. And I wanted to see how the car would run with the modifications that I've done to it thus far. And those modifications are, it's a catless pipe with a Peitz performance tune. I cleaned up the intake runners myself, and it's got a Hellcat airbox with a Hellcat filter. Now, with drag radials and good air, you know, DAs around 1,000 feet or less, the car is a very consistent 1160 car. It's run a best of an 1150, but for the most part, the car will knock down 1160s like clockwork in those conditions. But I wasn't running in those conditions, and I wasn't running that tire either. So I wanted to compare stock tire with mods to stock car with just being stock. And how did it do? Well, here's how the numbers fell out, and then I'll give you a little bit more of a rundown of how things went. The car went 1260s. Not much of a shock there, but the mile an hour was up. It mile an hour at about 3 to 3.5 miles an hour higher than what it did stock. And, oh, by the way, mile an hour before in good DA with the drag radials was about 3 miles an hour higher than this. It would average high 116s and also into the 117s. So what does that say? Well, let me give you a rundown of how the technique of the launch went. And by technique, I'm saying that in the loosest possible terms. When it was stock, I was able to pull 180 and 190 60 foots out of it fairly consistently. Now, again, this is with a set of all seasons, not a set of summer tires. Summer tires, yeah, you'll get a little bit better, but you know, sometimes it's more fun to run on the worst tire that you can, because if you can learn how to launch that, you can launch anything. Anyway, I'm getting away from the point, but yeah, my 60 foots this time around versus those 1.9s, yeah, try two 130s. In fact, two 135 and a two 133. Yeah, not exactly impressive. So here's what would happen. Did a light burnout, staged the car, light turns green, roll onto the throttle as I would do before, except at this time, instead of just rolling out, the car would basically start to spin the tires. I would lift, the car automatically goes into second, roll onto the throttle, the car stays in second, and it goes down the track. I should have launched the damn thing in second gear. I'd have probably cut a better ET. But that's where that horrifically bad 60-foot came from, and you know what? Doesn't matter. I had a ball. It was a blast hanging out with those guys and just kind of goofing off with the car while I was getting some data. But, you know, to be honest with you, I really wouldn't have had it go either way. It really did kind of showcase something, though. Just by adding power, that doesn't mean you're going to go quicker. You've got to provide for better traction if you're going to throw power at the car. And really, no matter how I tried to launch the car, it was basically going to do the same thing every single time. That's just how the night was going. And yeah, I would love to sit here and blame it on track prep, but the reality is, that's just how it was. So wanted to bring that data to you guys, give you guys a bit of a comparison, and also, you know, the whole point of doing this hobby, in other words, the whole point of being in this hobby is to have fun, and it's also about the company that you keep. And it was a blast hanging out with those guys, cutting jokes, you know, kind of ribbing on each other, just basically having fun throughout the night. Wouldn't have wanted it to go any other way. So there's some hard data. I had a blast with the car. I can't wait to do it again. Hope that shows you guys that, yeah, car's doing great. It's consistent as clockwork. Can't wait to get a set of drag radials on it because, yeah, it was fun to run the car down the drag strip with the stock all seasons, but I gotta tell you, yeah, I missed my 11-second time slips. Anyway, hope y'all are having a great one. That's a wrap on this one. Adios.